Good afternoon, Gossip Talk Shows family. It's Samsa here at Gossip Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I'm with the Shireen Love Group and Carol Ann Cooper. How are you, ladies?
Yeah,
Well,
good,
good, thanks.
thanks.
Can you hear me? I just want to double check you can hear me.
Yeah,
Loud and
Okay.
clear.
yeah.
All right, brilliant. Because I put earpods in so that people don't hear them.
Awesome, awesome. So the topic today is how turning your inner frequency transform the way you love, listen, and respond. What if the way you love, listen, and respond has less to do with other people and more to do with your inner frequency? Your inner frequency is the emotional, spiritually, mentally energy you carry into every conversation. It's the tone beneath your words, the atmosphere around your presence, the vibration that people feel from you before you even speak. When your frequency is low, full of fear, resentment, anxiety, or exhaustion, even kind words can come out sharp, defensive, or distance. When your frequency is high, grounded in love, clarity, and soft, your natural listen better, love better, love deeper, and respond differently. So, Shireen, you
Hmm.
chose this topic. What was on your mind when you chose the topic?
Well, last week, whoever listened last week, and hopefully somebody listened last week, but we were talking about a form of healing, but we were talking about different seasons. We were talking about the seasons, weren't we? And we were really discussing how perhaps there are different ways in which we can navigate or find a way in which to communicate with someone, to connect with someone. And I found myself busy thinking more in the idea of what is a resonance and how does resonance within a relationship help understanding someone's resonance, understanding our own resonance. How does that help us communicate better? How does that bring us together in a more harmonious state? And just in using those words, harmonious, we meaning it's like a rhythm. It's like it is a resonance. And when we speak, the way our sound, our voice is a resonance. We
Mm,
hear a resonance. And when we are frightened, then our resonance squeaks, we squeak up. And when we're in a calmer, more resolved state, our resonance is lower. It's much our vocal cords are able to actually resonate at a greater frequency. Not a greater frequency, but they resonate at a deeper frequency. So they're slower, but they can give a louder sound. Whereas if we're frightened, then the resonance is higher and faster. So I was really spending a little time thinking on that. And what I had this idea was if someone is resonating at a particular level and you're resonating at another, part of our remit is to understand that if someone's resonating really low, they may, if we come in and we say, hey, you must be a bit upbeat, you need to do this and you're upbeat, you'll mismatch their resonance. And what will happen is they'll either bring you down or you would, but it'd be very hard to bring them up unless you're actually slowly matching their resonance and giving them a way in. And I was kind of thinking of it more in the sense of what I do when I do a particular healing treatment called scanner cosmotic. And what we found that if you try and put it's a biofeedback device, and what you find is if you have someone who's resonating really slowly and coldly, you can't actually put an electrical current through that because it won't pass through. What you would need is to work around the area and come slower and slower and slower in to then help activate the other resonance. So I was thinking in a sense of how this fits in relationships and how we can learn to attune first to ourselves so we know where we are on the resonance scale. And secondly, how do we sense somebody else's resonance and kind of know how at what level we need to approach in order to get the best effect. So that was what I was really focusing on when I was thinking about this as a resonance. And of course, the biggest resonance we have in our body is our heart, isn't it? When our heart beats, it resonates through the whole of our body, and every organ in our body has a resonance. It has its own personal resonance, and there's a whole body resonance, but there is individual organ resonances. So, like other people, they have a resonance and we have a resonance. And so, how do we find a way to get a perfect rhythm or harmonious rhythm? So that's where my thoughts were going, and they were all over the show, but they were there.
Yeah, I love it, love it. All different angles on that, and that last bit you were saying, and it's that heart coherence, isn't it? Is the theme. It's something that we learned when I first started training in brain gym and educational kinesiology. I heard the term sort of heart coherence, and you can, if you get in touch with your own, where's your heart and rhythm and pace and resonance, you can adjust it. But I love what you said about it's hard to bring someone else up if you're already up there. It's not, you can't drag someone up there. You have to match them. So it's being able to allow yours to drop without getting tied in and and stuck. And sometimes that's the fear, we can't go there. But being able to match someone else's, recognize where they're at, match it, and slowly shift so it brings them up with us in a really gentle, harmonious way. And I love that word you use there, harmonious. And then you don't, it's like a sort of lovely dance or a lovely floating up this and it's a connection because you feel connected, so that it's not like if you're trying to drag them up, they'll feel that. They'll feel that there's something wrong there, and they will just shut down even more, and their energy will just go lower and lower, and it becomes a fight. And so there's a struggle going on. So it's just relaxing and just being, I think it's about being present, isn't it? In the moment, being present and recognizing where someone else is, and also recognizing if there's fear in you about going there, or if there's some resistance within you, because then there again comes a struggle. So again, it's managing your own state, your own resonance, and that's the key here, I think. So I love the topic, and I love the way it came out of last week's, because we said we were looking at their sort of internal talk, the beliefs and that, which generated the external world. So now we're looking at something that can create harmonious relationships on which you can build. So yeah, beautiful. There's been some great questions there to explore. Nomsa?
I like how you both explained it, and
I'm
also
sorry, can you get a bit louder? Because I struggled in the beginning to sort of hear what you were saying. And it still sounds a bit soft for me.
can you hear me now? Am I louder? Because this thing is in my mouth. Am I still not loud?
Not that loud, not as loud as we've heard you before.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm on 100%.
No, speak.
I'm on 100% speaker.
Okay, that's a bit better when it's further over, yeah. Because when you turned your head, it went a bit louder. So now you've got it in front.
When I turn my head like this.
No, it's the other way, because it's like you had your mouth over the mic. And it's okay.
Is it louder now?
It's not quite as faint as it was. Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
don't
think
have
it
to
will come
strain.
back. It will come
Mm,
back. I'm not sure maybe it's the frequency. I don't know.
mm.
I don't know what's
The
going on.
It's the
resonance.
resonance. I was going to say the same
The
thing.
resonance.
Yeah, I like this topic, Shireen. I think Pastor James did talk about it. I think a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
and he said someone needed to talk to him for some advice, but that person said, "But can you reduce your frequency?"
Oh, that's interesting. Ah,
Mm,
the
Because I can't talk
intensity.
to
Yeah.
you. I cannot talk to you in that frequency where you are.
mm.
So can you manage to reduce your frequency so we can be in the same frequency so you can understand what I'm going through?
Interesting.
That's really
Ooh.
self-aware, that person. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he said because he is in he understood as well what he was saying,
Yeah.
because some people would have easily judged someone, but that person was like, okay, I need this person to give me the advice, but we are not in the same frequency. So I'm going to give him credit. So he reduces his frequency so he's aware when he's talking to me. So I can understand what he's saying, where he wants me to go. So it was like he was able to actually give him the advice, though he could not reduce his frequency, but
Mm,
his advice is based on God, what God was saying to that person. So he said he was aware where this person is and he never judges that person. He said, don't judge anyone. So he was sharing it because, like, when you go to church, when God changes you, takes your life to the next level, when you go high up, you start judging others.
mm,
And when you judge others, you put them down and they're not able to connect with you, like you were saying, Shireen and Carol Ann. They're not able to connect with you. Like, I'm fasting, cleansing. My mindset is in a different level. I'm no longer thinking the same way that I thought before. My mindset is now different. I'm appreciating life more. I'm starting to understand what my family are going through, but I could easily
mm,
judge those who have not done what I'm doing. So you have to be, but sometimes he says, when you are not in the same frequency, when the energy is not aligned, the other frequency, it can reject
mm,
the other person, and that person, their energy can say, hang on a minute, if the other one is cleansed and the other one is not, so the ones that is not cleansed, it can actually fear to align with that person that has cleansed or that person that has a higher frequency. It can easily reject, and that's
mm,
why you can't get connection with that person, that
mm,
even if you are aware. So he was explaining the power of frequency, the energy, how it works, and the power of God, that if that person is in a different level, the other one is not, that one can, their energy can fear to connect with this energy. And then is now up to this person that their energy have to accept this energy. They'll be like,
mm,
no, no, no. We are not in the same frequency.
mm,
We are not aligned. So therefore we cannot connect. So he was explaining that, how the
mm.
frequencies work, how he had to be told to reduce his frequency.
I guess when I'm listening to you there, I'm thinking more in the idea of an attunement, isn't it? How do we attune to what's needed, what's necessary? And I guess what really came up for me in the last week was really about, if we start using words like resonance, there are no negatives associated with it. When we talk about feelings and whatever, we put a lot of a lot of emotion can sit in certain kinds of words. But resonance, if we can understand resonance is just where we're vibrating, where is our frequency, it takes away a lot of the rubbish. So if we rename a lot of things as a resonance, it makes it neither good nor bad, right? It gives us something a little more easy to kind of move towards or move away from, should that necessarily be the case. And I loved what you said, that, the person had the wisdom enough to say, hey, your frequency is too high, too full on, too whatever, for me to hear it. I can't hear it right now because I'm not resonating yet at that frequency, but I recognize that you have wisdom to give me, right? So so his resonance already was above a certain threshold that he could recognize this, and that's really quite important. And I think when we're resonating really low, it's very hard to understand that this is when we sit in those depressive states, when we sit in those very negative states. But if we say, okay, it's a low resonance, there's very little attachment to it. We can say, well, look, I'm resonating a little bit low today. Well, that's actually quite nice to say, rather than saying, oh God, I feel like I'm in a bad mood, right? So it felt for me, just using a renaming of a kind of emotion in a different way might be a new language that we can give to people in order to help them understand that everything in this whole world is about energy, right? Everything is about resonance. Everything is about frequency. And the more we attune to frequency, the easier it gets, because we can transform frequency much faster than we can transform our thoughts necessarily, right? Because it's a resonance. It's something that just happens, whereas our thoughts are a pattern that we have. So the frequency is the basic parts of that. And if we can change that, it's much easier than to change thoughts. And I loved what you said again there, Namso, which was about this mismatch that happens when we start to resonate at a very, I look like my hand is like I'm resonating. Looks white like a ghost. Oh, it's talking. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe I should shut this window so it's not so much
Oh, that's
white.
better.
I know that one. I thought, hey, maybe I should do that because I'm like a whiteout here. When often what happens as we become very spiritual, often because we're understanding more, a lot of it can also be very cerebral. And that, in a sense, takes us away from our deeper resonant feeling. So we have to be really mindful that when we know more, that we have to attune more. We have to learn how to look at people that are not where we are and attune, so that we don't make them feel so much of the lack, right? Because it's so easy for someone that has more to do that. And particularly, I think, when we think about the idea that the more and more and more wealth you have, often, and this is one of the things why they say the wealthy can't enter the kingdom of heaven, which is not true. It's just a story, but what the story is about is the fact that what happens when we are wealthy, we lose contact with what it was like to be poor. And we don't then feel for the people in that way, because we might say, right, they should do this, they should do that. So we become very judgmental. So I'm just really kind of explaining to people what happens. So we have to be very careful that when we're in this position, we have to be grateful we're here, and that we want others to come up to our level. So we try and create the frequency and attunement that will help bring them to our level. So that's the bit that I think is really important. And what you said, the pastor had said, I realized I needed to give him credit for the fact. So the friend said I needed to recognize that I had to give him credit for his knowledge, but at the same time, pastor had to recognize he had credit to that this person had the wisdom to know he needed the help. So it was like a mutual attunement that happened. right? So one sort of resonated at a slower, more attuning presence, and the other one sort of probably raised himself up in order to match that. So I think in any form of relationship, you know, particularly when you have people that are very hypercritical, very condescending, any of those kinds of relationships, it's about being very aware of how, when they're in those places, how do they resonate differently so that they don't upset their partners or their new spouse or even their children or people around them, never mind anything else.
Mm. I know what you're saying about sort of rename, you know, because things as resonance, because it's neither good nor bad. It's
Mm,
just, it's a resonance, and there's some, it feels like it really are sort of becoming attuned. It's like you're becoming one.
mm,
It's not, as you say, it's neither good nor bad. There is this, the duality is left behind. It becomes a wholeness, doesn't it?
yeah, it
And
does.
so, yeah, bring it in a new language. And there is a quote here. It says, resonance is love's language. It's
Mm,
felt before it's understood. And it is a
yes.
feeling. And it's not about words, it's about the feeling.
Mm,
And that's what you say, we're talking about frequencies, and you can feel someone's energy, frequency, resonance, whatever it is, and they can feel yours.
mm,
And it is that you feel. So it is getting aware of that. And someone else's energy can actually, if it's not resonating with yours, it can push you away. It can feel
mm,
uncomfortable. Um, and even sometimes I think for some people, when you're really calm and quiet and peaceful, it can unsettle those that are used to very sort of
mm,
dissonant energies, you know, because that's what they've perhaps grown up with. And to sort of feel that more cohesive, harmonious resonance can unbalance them, but it's helping them to feel safe within that
mm,
um, more harmonious sort of resonance. And if you can do that, it helps them to just quieten down and start to realize that actually there's much more connection. There's a deeper connection when you have this harmonious resonance rather than being, you know, dissonant. I
mm,
think that's the word, isn't it? Because dissonance
mm,
is actually,
mm.
if
Yes, isn't it?
somebody's there, but they're not emotionally available. I think
Mm,
this is what resonance is. You're there and you're physically, sorry, you're emotionally available. You know, you're fully present to someone. You're not distracted. You're not sort of out of alignment, out of sync. It's sort of, there's a togetherness when there's resonance. And again, it's not making dissonance wrong. It's just having that awareness, which is why, you know, I like what you were saying about it's neither good or bad. It's just having that awareness, and which actually is the one that allows for communication and connection, a true deep connection to take place. And it is when you have that alignment and that attunement. And there's the attunement versus agreement. You don't actually need to think alike to feel aligned. So sometimes
like
people
that.
are, I think, confused, or they, I can't think of the word now, but they mistake. That's right. The fact that if someone's not um, agreeing with you, then you're not in alignment. You can have differing opinions, doesn't mean that you're out of alignment, but it's how you approach those differing points of view. And you can be in attunement with each other. You can be in alignment and discuss your different points of view.
Mm,
You know, so that's where resonance comes in. And um, I always felt made wrong if I was arguing, especially with my ex-husband. He would say, "Oh, stop arguing." And I thought, "Well, I'm not arguing. I've just got a different point of view." But it made me get to a point where I felt so wrong that I didn't want to speak up because it created dissonance, really. It created an argument in a sense, because it was like, well, no, I'm not arguing with you. I just want to talk about it in a different way. I've got a different point of view. And knowing that now, it's like, wow, that's okay for someone to have a different point of view. And it's how you discuss it and talk about it and acknowledge the other person's point of view. That's where you have resonance, you have attunement, isn't it? Well, that's how I feel. Because you're not making the other person wrong. You're not feeling made wrong for your point of view. And to come around to each other's point of view, that's okay as well. You know, to be able to see someone else's point of view doesn't mean you have to change yours. It opens up your world to other aspects. And it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And things start to change and shift, and it actually opens up your world in quite magical ways. And then the relationship itself can bloom. I use that word again from last week. Bloom and blossom, and grow
Yeah.
and flourish. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what Carol Ann is saying, that when every time you have a conversation with your husband, he will say you are arguing, but you are putting your point of view across. Because that's what the relationship is about. Yeah, I've been watching people around me as well as some of them. When you talk to them, you put your point of view across, but then because they don't like the truth, or they don't like you to put your point of view across, and they're like, you are arguing, you are this. So I'm like, no, actually, I'm not. I'm just, that's who I am. I'm just like, I remember the first time when I got reported to the social services, everyone in the family is panicking, and I'm like, don't get involved. Don't be part of it. But then they saw me as someone who is arguing, and I was like, if someone see bad in me, why am I being dragged in that situation? Let them do what they think is right, but you yourself keep out of it. Let them do what they want to do. But they were like, you are arguing. So even I'm teaching my children that if I'm having a conversation with you, if I put a message across that you don't understand, don't fear that because I'm your mom is always right. Have a conversation with me. If you don't understand something, learn to be open and communicate. Because if you communicate with me, you learn to or communicate with me. You will learn to communicate with your husband, with your whatever when you're older. So I'm teaching them not to fear. You know this thing where children they fear parents?
Mm.
So I'm teaching them that if I'm your parent, why would you fear? Even if you make a mistake, why shouldn't you just come and say, Mommy, I made a mistake. This is what I've done. We all face it. We get on with it. I might get angry. I might get some hoochie. Who knows? So it's like, just be honest. In that frequency, when you're in that frequency of love as well, like Carol Ann, you were saying that, um, was it Carol Ann or Resonant? It's a love language. I think that was Carol Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yes,
Yeah,
it's a love,
resonance is love's language.
yes, it's love language. I think it is really, really important. May I call people liars when someone, because sometimes you meet people and they'll tell you that my wife is this, my wife is done that. That's what I feel. And I'm like, have you spoken to your wife? Or have you spoken to your husband? And they're like, no, I haven't. I'm thinking, but you're lying. You're saying you are happy, but that's a lie. It's just a simple conversation. And I'm like, but you can talk to them if you feel that they're doing something that is not right, or like being the same frequency of love or acceptance, and that communication, that loving and caring. But sometimes it doesn't work. Like when you are not in the same frequency, it doesn't work. Even one of the pastors, I'm not sure what Shireen is doing. I think Shireen is connecting with Pastor Henry in the spirit realm. I don't know.
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe.
yeah. You were talking about wealth, that sometimes wealthy people forget that where
Mm,
they've been, some of them they do. And another one, my pastor yesterday was talking about how he prayed and fasted, like he's getting excited. He wants to pay the bills, and he's like, God, he bless us, and blah, blah, blah. And he's getting the message that, oh, God is going to bless a financial breakthroughs coming through. And God says, why would I do that? Why would I give you financial breakthrough? And you know, he said his frequency of praying was like, God, give me this. God, give me this. God, give me this. And God one day got pissed off, and they went, why would I do that? Can't you just come to me for love? Just simple for love? So he was sharing it that there are some people like who think that the frequency of God is all about love. And he was like, the simple prayer is just God goes and go to God and just say, thank you for loving me. Thank you
mm,
for being a part of my life. Thank you for loving my children. And be genuine in your heart and just love him, as it says in the Bible. In those conditions, he will give you what your desires will be fulfilled, because he knows what you want before you even ask.
mm,
So he was explaining how his prayer life was, and sharing the frequency of some people. There are these pastors that says, if you give 50,000, 10,000, 5,000, God will give you double. And it was like, that's not the right frequency.
mm,
So he was sharing the frequency of love. And even Carol Ann is saying, husband, he was like, no, you're arguing. He was like, no, is that's the point of view. But that's what I've realized. Me and my friend, I was like, why do people like they say love is this, love is this? But when it comes to the truth, a woman or a man communicates the truth, their feelings, they're not allowed to communicate the feelings, like they get rejected. So it's like, what is love exactly? So that's the
Mm.
question that we've been digging deep. What is
mm,
love? And I always ask my clients, when you say you're looking for love, what are you looking for? If we
mm,
were to put the material aside, what kind of man or woman are you looking for? That question, they don't have it. When you start asking deep and say, what
mm,
kind of frequency of love are you looking for? Okay, a man has got all these. Or if I send you a message now and say, I've got the guy who is a billionaire, who is a millionaire, would you ask other frequency, or would you just jump into it? What would you do?
mm.
I
Because
didn't
now,
quite get that question fully. Could you say it again?
yeah, because like nowadays, love is not all about love, is about what you have.
Mm,
So I always like ask my clients, and I say,
hmm
okay, you want a guy that is successful, that is this, that is this. So if I was to find a billionaire or a millionaire today, and I send you the details of this guy, what other questions would you ask about this guy or the woman?
So
mm,
would you go at face value, or would you want more?
Yeah,
Is
would you
really what
go
you're
for what
asking
he
for.
has, or would you want more?
Yeah. Would you go for what who he is rather
Who
than what
he
he
is,
has?
or would you
Mm,
want
Right.
more?
Mm, mm, mm,
mm.
mm. Yeah,
I
that's right.
think there has to be um that feeling. It's not just about what he is. Okay, he's a millionaire, billionaire. And I heard you say that, and I went, really?
Mm.
Is that?
But
Yeah, okay.
he may
Nice
not
for
be a
them to
very
have
nice
money, but
person,
what's
right?
underneath?
Yeah.
Mm,
What are they? Who
mm,
are they
mm.
underneath all that money?
Yeah.
Okay, they've acquired, inherited, or whatever, all this money, but who fundamentally are they, and what are their values, and how do they treat someone? And actually, for me, it's also how are they if you're just sitting in silence?
Mm,
Because I've got a lovely quote here. It says, when your heart is in tune, even silence becomes a form of
mm.
communication.
Yeah.
And resonance isn't just about the words, it's about that feeling. And if you can sit
Mm,
in silence with somebody and just be with them without that need to fill the space in the silence with words or with just something,
mm,
what happens is that out of that actually arises a communication that wants to be said and that can then be said, and and actually then connects, because it's from that deeper connection, that deeper place, and deeper truth. It's not just a surface, got to speak, got to fill the silence. So for me, I'd be looking at someone, are they willing to be in silence? Are they a listener? Do they listen to not just what's being said,
mm,
but what's not being said? Are they interested in you as a person, who you really are, not just what you can bring to the table? Sorry, this. And also allows you your voice. It's like,
mm,
what hasn't been said that can't be said? Can that actually be said between you and that person? It's like, where have you been silenced before? No longer gets silenced. It's given a place and a space to actually be communicated. And for me, that's what I would be looking at, and how it's maybe not done in questions as much. Maybe there are questions
mm,
that could come from that, but it's
mm.
more being with the person.
Yeah.
And that's really what I would be looking for, listening for, and feeling for. So it's all
Mm.
three. So that's what's there for me. Because I think, who was it? Shireen, you said something about looking at where others are. And I think, and I put down the word feel, because I think with resonance, it's about feel.
A feeling, yeah.
It's feel where they're at. So it's very much to do with emotional availability, your feelings, and I think your own emotional intelligence, how you can
Mm,
shift your emotions, be aware of them, and know how to adjust accordingly, and not be frightened to be with someone else's depth of upset or anger, but you can just hold that space, you know, because that allows for them to release that emotion, feel it fully, and then let it go.
mm,
And to be able to give someone that gift without trying to placate them or say, oh, no, no, never mind. No, no, no. Oh, I understand how, no, just hold the space. And again, that's what I would be looking for in a partner, someone that could hold that space and just be with me, and then just allow
mm,
communication to then arise and for us to be able to move on without being able to be fixed, but also then maybe asking a question that would help them go deeper and release what's really there, because they're interested, they're curious. and they want to support. So for me, that's really, oh yeah, I can feel that. I was like, yeah, I never really voiced that fully. So thank you for the space to be able to do that, and thank you for the question, Namsa. This is a great topic here. Yeah. So how would you
Yeah.
answer the question,
How would I
Shireen, or
answer the
what's?
question? My mind went to other things, but I
Yeah,
think
that's
what I
okay,
want
but
to,
bring them in as well.
I will answer the question, but I wanted to just really reflect back on the important part is what you have, if you think what, you don't have to think alike in order to be aligned. I think that's a really important point that we need to keep in this whole conversation, because I think that we are all different, right?
Yeah.
And we really need to understand we can form that really strong resonance together, even if we think differently, even if we are
Yeah.
different and such extreme situations like our social background or our educational background. As long as we can sit together in the space that the resonance can resonate and allow this information to travel, and feel safe in that. I think that's really the key. I think on Nomsa's question, it's really interesting. And all of what you said there, Carolyn, sorry, Carol Ann. I'm going Caroline, Carol Ann. What you
We
said there
will
really
not
is
let you go, Sharina, without correcting you when it comes to her name.
exactly. That's why I quickly recorrected.
Yeah, and I'm grateful
Well,
for
it's
that
really
because
important.
yeah, you've listened, you've understood, and thank you. I
Oh,
get it.
I get really annoyed when people don't say my name correctly. So therefore, it's really good that
Yeah,
I must
yeah.
honor that for others. Um, yeah, I think what came up for me, Nomsa, first of all, is really being in the question for that person is asking her what when you sort of say what else would they need to ask. You've got this millionaire, but also this what else? Um, Really, what's going on for them? Why are they resonating at that level that they feel that the only safety they can have is through having someone that's a billionaire? What's going on? They're coming from a lack resonance, right? A resonance which is not vibrating at a sufficient frequency to ensure that whatever match they make is going to be a good one. So what's going to happen is that this is, unless and by a stroke of luck, it would be that this person is a nice human being, right? Who has the ability to hear what is said and not said, who's able to sit in the space, which as Carol Ann said. These are things that are so important. And if you're not resonating at that, it doesn't even matter whether they are or they're not. You are not going to be able to receive it, right? You're not going to be able to be in it to experience it in the fullness and the beauty of what it is. So there's something, first of all, before you go seeking a match, is you better be making sure that you know your own attunement first, right? You really need to be aware of what and where and how you're resonating, and whether you're coming from a lack mentality or not, or lack resonance. It's bits that are missing rather than bits that are complete. So that, like you were saying, that Pastor Henry was really saying, in the sense that we just be grateful. If we are grateful, we're living in an abundant mindset. We're living in an abundant resonance, which means that we bring things to us. And I do believe God gives us what we need, not what we want. If what we want and what we need is aligned, then we get that.
Yeah,
But we get what we need, not what we want, right?
yeah.
And I think it's really important that we truly understand that on a very deep level, because that can make us really unhappy if we don't understand that even if we're in poverty right now, we need that now because we need to shift to the next level. We need to shift and work out what's holding us in this state or making us resonate in this state. So I think that is an important thing. And using somebody else as a way to get something that's not a useful resonance. to help people. So you want to be in the abundance resonance first. That will allow you to not sit in the lack state. Yeah, so that was really what was going on when you asked the question, Nomsa. It felt like that was kind of a little bit of the important aspect of it. And I'm guessing what I would then say is, how do we know when we are in tune with ourselves, right? And one of the things is, I mean, I just find that when I sit and I hum very quietly to myself, I practice feeling resonance. I practice sitting there and feeling things so that I can actually go, oh, when I walk into a room, can I feel this? How's this affecting me and my body? So having a practice that lets you feel your own resonance is a really powerful thing to do. So humming is an incredible one, and actually humming that you can feel the different areas in your body. So if you hum and you think, "Oh, I'm feeling it here in my head," and hum that you feel it in your heart, in your chest, and hum, you go lower. It may go into your stomach, and it can go lower and lower. That gives you an idea what's going on, and how the water in you, the frequency which is vibrating, is is functioning. And in actual fact, we know that most healing is a lot of healing is done just through humming, right? Humming in our body changes the frequency, but it also gives us an attunement to feeling energy much more acutely. So I mean, I often just sit and put my hand on a table, and I literally can feel the table almost vibrating underneath me. And for me, it's just a practice, but it's something you can do, which can really give you a sensitivity, so that when you're talking to people, you can develop that sensitivity enough that you can ask those questions that are unsaid, unspoken, right? You can lean into that and ask what what their heart is seeking you to ask, which I think sometimes gets missed in the busyness of today. Yeah.
I like that. What's their heart is seeking to ask? Yeah, I like that because most of the time people don't really open up. They fear to open up because it's like mostly when you work in the dating industry, you find the lows that frequency where someone comes to you and they'll show you the whatever they think that you want to hear, but underneath they are seeking more. And then the more you ask questions, the more you realize that actually they are hiding something. And but mostly for me, because I pray a lot, is then where the Holy Spirit will say, don't listen to what they are saying, but ask this question. So when I ask the question, that's when that person feels that they have to open up with me. They have to tell me why they're single, why things have gone the way they have, so that you're able to help that person. But mostly, people, when they come, they're like, they tell you just exactly what you want to hear, but their heart is seeking something else. So I'm like, oh, okay. They read on the website, I work with these successful guys, and they're like, and you're like, okay, I need more. Give me more. Why are you single? Some have gone dated rich guys. We have abused them. They've gone through so much pain. So then you have to just coach that person in their mindset so that they come back to you after the coaching, and then now they can tell you what they want. Their heart is now more freely, is not chained. So yeah, I like what Carol Ann said. When your heart is in tune, even the silence, even in silence, they will have a voice. You connect with their voice. I like that. And Shireen, you said you don't have to think like them in order to actually to be together in the same space, in the same frequency. I like that as well, because sometimes we want our twin thinkers, but it does not work like that.
Mm.
We have to understand that people are individual and they're different. We are not twins. We cannot think the same way. So I think that's what destroys the relationships, where people, they're like, you can't do this, you can't be in that frequency, and that destroys. And I remember when I started putting my dance video, one of the guys said, "No, so you can't put your dance videos like that." But I'm putting them on my personal profile. But then when I went to celebrity business event, that's when the guy said, if you are a musician, you have a business, why shouldn't you let people experience the real you? One day you post a video playing an instrument, giving joy to somebody, or whatever you do, just let people connect to the real you, not to the real something that you think they want. And with my dance video, these people that where I get my award from, and this woman, she calls me. She says, "Noms, I'm just calling you for personal reasons." And I was like, "Why?" She goes, "My mom is in the end of life, so I was so sad and very down. Then I put on Facebook, here's me watching your dance video. It brought joy to my heart. So I thought I should just call you and let you know. It was like, she goes, the world is so depressing. So I just found your video. I just laughed and I was so sad. I thought I should call you and just let you know that this is the joy that you brought in my heart." And I was laughing, and she goes, "Yeah, you brought a smile to my heart because I'm just laughing. It like you're hilarious. I didn't expect it could be you." So then I'm watching the video. I'm like, "That's Nomsa." So she said it brought joy to my heart. And I was like, people just don't understand how, mostly in relationship, that like the frequency, like Kero Ani, what you said, and Shireen, that just trusting that we're different, we're not the same, it can change, it can bring you togetherness.
Mm.
But we want people to be what we are. Kero Ani, you got to be me. You got to be Nomsa. Otherwise, I can't be with you. You can't be. You cannot work it in gossip talk shows. Shireen, you got to be like Nomsa. Otherwise, you cannot be it in gossip talk show. But
Mm.
what I love about you guys, you are just individual souls and just singing your own music, dancing your own dance, and accepting each other for who you are, not judging each other. That's what I love about gossip talk shows.
Mm.
Mm,
Me too.
It's four
beautiful.
minutes past four, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Any words of encouragement? So I'm wondering what we have for next week. Because with this week, we've been challenged.
Mm. Interesting. See what arises.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think the key thing here to remember
Mm.
is that you can actually still love someone and, very deeply, but be out of resonance with them,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it's not because love itself has failed, but the frequency of your communication is mismatched. And that's where your relationships get stuck. And most people think, oh, it's because we don't agree. Look at your resonance.
Mm.
Go there. Take time to understand yourself, understand your partner, where you're at. And I love what you said, Shireen, about humming, feeling that vibration in your body. And something else that is really useful is toning. Again, it's that vibration. It's healing. You know, we are frequency, and actually humming or even just toning, allowing a sound to come out of your mouth, so you feel into what's here, and literally you sort of do an ooh sound and allow that sound to come out, and just feel the change that happens. Quite magical, actually, and quite freeing, because it shows that you have the ability, you have the power to change what feels uncomfortable, what feels as if it's being dissonant, and bring resonance into a relationship, bring harmony into a relationship. So that's what I'd like to just leave our, oh, there was one thing. Connection isn't created by words. It's created by the energy behind them. I'll just leave you with that quote.
Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, and I want to just reiterate in the sense of what you were saying, Caroline, which is resonance isn't agreement. It's the meeting of hearts in understanding. So really paying attention to the key part, that it's an energy, it's a feeling, it's a vibration that vibrates through us. So when you tune to love within, everything you touch begins to vibrate with the same frequency. So it all starts with ourselves, right? And if we are tuning into love with ourself, real love, you know, that clarity of love, when we touch that, then that touches everybody that we speak to. And I'm always reminded that if we, like Nomso, you say you pray a lot. Prayer in itself is a resonance, right? So that's why when you pray, it opens the gateways to allow for a higher frequency, a higher resonance to happen. It allows for the word, which is a resonant, to come in, right? It allows for the spirit to come in, because the spirit is always of a higher resonance. So how does that high resonance? It's got to come into the vessel, that's you, right? And if this vessel isn't resonating, we won't hear what we need to hear. So that's why you're fasting. That's why you're doing all of those things, which is making a huge difference, because you've already done a huge amount of clearing. Yeah. So the more you resonate, the more insights, spiritual insights you will get, and the higher your guidance will be. And in a relationship, that's what we want. We would like all relationships to follow that, yeah, that higher guidance.
Thank you so much, ladies. For me, what I leave with you is make sure you align your words with your inner truth, and allow yourself to feel it without shame, whatever you do in life. Like Shireen said, invite God, a higher source, into your life, into your process, and never compare your life with anyone's frequency, because we are all different, and our frequency is never going to be the same. Embrace whatever the frequency that you have in that moment, without Carol Annie's favorite word, judgment. So, guys, if you're watching from YouTube, please do subscribe to our channel, be part of the family. At Ngozi Talk Shows, we have two groups, Ngozi Talk Shows and Unique Billionaire Mindset. Do connect with those groups and be part of the family. And follow Carol Ann and Shireen on their personal social media, please. Their names are as they are here on social media. They're on LinkedIn, Instagram. Are you guys on Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, I know all
And
of them. Yeah.
yeah, they're in all social media. Connect with them. And if you want to be coached by them, please do connect with them through the website. You can send a message through the office, or you can ring the office number and connect. I will connect you guys with them. Live with grace, and God bless.
Bye.